This is me texting my date that I might end up marrying him just seconds after our date ended. This just happened to me literally 10 minutes ago. I am dying. I am dead. And me now. Oh, holy ghost. I thought this only happened in some poorly written rom-coms, the kind where life hardly imitates the real one. I want to bury myself and never come see the light again. Why me? Oh, why me? 10 painfully long minutes ago, exhilarated by the wonderful date I went on with this handsomely gorgeous man, who also happened to be a friend of mine for the last 3 years, I stood against my apartment door that I had just closed on his beautiful face. I typed these words that will fiercely haunt me now. I think I'm going to end up marrying this guy. This was meant for my best friend, the only other soul I could muster the courage to express my vulnerable feelings to. I sent this deeply poetic text to him instead. Do you think there is a void big enough on this planet to hold all my misery, all the embarrassment? Do you think I can make a pact with the devil to turn back time? I would just need 10 minutes. That'd be really nice. Can I please die now? Literal and metaphorical death is the only relief I might know. I am currently in my library, sprawled across the floor, intently staring at the ceiling. Man, I think I'll be here forever. TLDR, I mistakenly texted my date that I might end up marrying him just as we ended our date. I realized too late the text meant for my best friend was sent to him instead. I owe you an update. Good news. There's only so much staring at the ceiling one can do before pure boredom kicks in, and the realization dawns that the desire to scream at the top of your lungs will most likely not last for an eternity. Bad news. You guys did me dirty by blasting my still fresh embarrassment on the front page and, apparently, on a famous Portuguese radio show this morning. Cool. So, onto the meaty love update. Once I realized the text blunder, I quickly texted him that it was not meant for him, with a crying emoji for good measure. Sweet man that he is. He responded immediately to let me know that he doesn't read texts not meant for him. I subsequently asked for permission to die. He said. Please don't. This morning, he texted me about some travel plans we have down the line. Bless this handsome man. The gods are cruel, but not that cruel. This is where I should clarify that the original post was obviously a tad hyperbolic, just like that text. Go figure. I slept well last night, and I also laughed at myself. The blunder, just the ridiculous timing. What also got imprinted on me was that exact moment I wrote and sent that text. The moment he leaned in and kissed me goodnight. I was looking at him as I closed my apartment door, locking it, and at once turning around, heavily sighing and smiling, key still in hand. 2 weeks ago, he had proposed going on a walk at the park. I had an inkling, somehow, that after knowing each other for 3 years, he was going to finally, perhaps, become vulnerable and share a few things. I had been in a serious relationship when we met, and what I know now to be out of respect for my ironclad boundaries, he never made any advances. But I was single now, and at the park, sitting there together, he looked at me and said he had feelings for me. Long-time feelings, 3 long years of feelings. Right there at Prospect Park, on a clear night under some 35 visible stars we counted, he kissed me. Last night, it was my turn to be vulnerable, even if accidentally. For once, I think I understand Ted. He was always the guy I wanted to throw my shoe at whenever his ridiculous face showed up on the screen, which was a lot. As for the library, I'm not Jane Austen, but I'm a New Yorker, and the luxury of ample space is not something I recognize. My dream as a child refugee growing up in deep poverty was to have a dedicated place for all the books I could buy when I would grow up and have money. Here's a pic of my library nook that I built through vintage thrifting, DIY projects, and patience. The library. This is it, folks. The update. I might prefer this life over any rom-com. Relevant comments. The pic of the library is gone, but OP explains it in a comment. You guys, it's not a literal library. It's a corner of my apartment I've turned into a library nook. Also, for what it's worth, this is an embarrassing story that just literally happened to me. But believe me, as a refugee who has suffered through deep poverty from early childhood, I'm well aware of all the hardships existing out there. Now let me go back to staring at the ceiling. Comment 1. You just ruined my mental picture of you in a dramatic swoon across a plush tapestry on the floor of a dusty Victorian library, cheeks flushed, and with the back of your hand across your forehead, muttering things like, "Woe is me," and "Verily, I am vexed." Comment 2. Make it into a joke. Bring up that that's what they say in those rom-coms, and honestly, just make it a laughable experience for both. Example: I think I'm going to end up marrying this guy, says every girl in a rom-com. Make it into a quote. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm the type of person to turn my screw-up into a joke. Opie. I'm probably going to greet him with a chirpy, "Hi, husband," next time I see him. Comment 3. You can only refer to him as husband from here on out. Update. 3 years after I mistakenly pressed send, texting this gorgeous specimen of a guy, I would marry him seconds after ending our first date. Keys still in hand as I struggled to both text and lock the door, and subsequently sprawled across my library floor wishing for it to engulf me. I did end up marrying the man. Damn, what in the world, life? I thought I'd let you guys know since you did help me, with your funny comments and shared shameful moments, to eventually get myself up that fateful evening, dust myself off, and not commit cringe seppuku. It's been 3 years of pure joy, and he's still as dreamy and kind. You guys. And it was. Kids, that's how I met your father, after all. See you in the next chapter. TLDR, I married the man. Sending that text by mistake 3 years ago, telling him I'd marry him right after our first date, was just the truth. Now, to the next story. Story 2. To ensure my parents were on time, I tricked them with an earlier start time on the invitation, revealing the truth later. This embarrassed my mother. I am 33 years old, and my parents are late for everything. Like everything. Both my sisters and myself have been disappointed so many times. Graduation ceremonies, birthday parties, even my father's retirement dinner. It is completely my mother's fault. She is a wonderful mother, and I love her dearly. She just does not understand the concept of punctuality. I have seen her talking to her sister on the phone when I reminded her she needed to be at my baby sister's dance recital. She waved me off and arrived after my sister had danced. We are all used to it. My dad is just done trying to get her to be on time for anything. My now wife, who is 28 years old, told me in no uncertain terms that if my mother was late for our wedding, she would do terrible things to me. She was only half joking, but she was a witness to my mom and dad arriving halfway through my cousin's quinceañera. So here's what I did. It is completely on me. My wife was not involved. If there is a dick move, it was completely mine. When we were getting samples for the wedding, I talked to the printer and had one special invitation printed with the time stated as being 1 hour earlier than the actual start time of the ceremony. My mother was beside herself, apparently, when they left the house and thought they were going to miss the wedding, since she had a role in it involving lighting candles with my mom for the unity ceremony stuff. When she arrived and noticed other people were also just arriving and parking, she was so relieved that we were starting late that she just went with it. The ceremony went off beautifully, and so did the wedding pictures and the reception. The problem came last Sunday. My parents came over for a big family dinner, and we didn't bother starting the grill until they showed up. She asked why everyone wasn't eating, and we just said we knew we would be waiting for them since they are always late. She said that she was not always late and had been on time for my wedding. She hadn't been. They arrived 45 minutes after the time on their invitation. My idiot cousin Michael snorted at her statement. A few other people giggled or smiled at this, and she picked up on it and asked what was so funny. I came clean and told her about the special invitation. She is pissed at me for not trusting her and making her look foolish in front of everyone. If my cousin had just controlled himself, she never would have known. Edit. Part of the reason she is mad is because she had her invitation framed. To be honest, I was already planning a heist with my sisters to replace it with the real one in case she ever noticed the discrepancy between hers and the one we have framed in our home. Edit number 2. Yeah, we are Latinos, and no, I do not in any way consider it racist. How many of you guessed that? I have been to Spain, and it's an issue there too, and the Philippines, basically, anywhere those guys were in charge. Edit 3. Stop defending Michael. He and I have spent 30 years messing with each other. I have an AITA story that ends with me getting an offensive tattoo requiring $5,000 for removal and him getting a body cavity search at the Mexican border. I would post it, but it happened like 10 years ago. Verdict: not the asshole for causing my cousin to have a body cavity search at the Mexican border. September 1st, 2022. Fine, you win. Here is the relevant part of the story. I grew up with my older cousin Michael. We constantly fight, like in a cartoon. I also know I can trust him with my life, and he knows I will always have his back. We do, however, try and screw each other over as much as possible because it's funny. So, he and I went on vacation to Mexico. Things happened. I got a tattoo. Anyways, since we have relatives all over, I can always find anything I need. In this particular case, what I needed was some of the substance that cops use to train drug-sniffing dogs. It is not an illegal or controlled substance in Mexico, but the dogs will hit on you if they smell it. So, I had to stay in Mexico a few extra days to deal with some of the situations he created. I was kind enough to take him to the border in TJ, so our other cousin could pick him up on the American side. I was just hoping he would get the shit scared out of him when the drug dogs hit on his luggage. We learned from a young age never to carry anything illegal over international borders because we are almost always selected for screening. I knew for a fact he was clean, just hungover. Anyways, it turns out that when a kid born in a certain South American country, carrying a Canadian passport and only a backpack, crosses the border and the drug dogs indicate he should be searched, he gets very thoroughly searched. And when they don't find anything, well, let's just look at the title of this post. He thinks I went too far. Edit. Yes, I'm fully aware it was overkill. Can I defend my actions? Not really. Taken as a totality of our lives, though, I still probably owe him for the stuff he has done to me. Like, a lot. For the record, I did apologize. Update. July 22nd, 2024, 2 years later. What happened? My parents have been embarrassed for 2 years now because of how I tricked them into being on time for my wedding. Pretty much every time I see them, they say I was a dick not to trust them. Our church is very busy and full of young people, so there are lots of weddings, to the point where there are 3 weddings every Saturday all summer long. One at 10 a.m., one at noon, and one at 3 p.m. Sometimes, but not often, there is also an evening wedding. My little sister just got married. She snagged the noon slot. My mom got super involved in planning the wedding to prove that I'm just immature. She said that she would be on time and not miss anything. Side note, I personally hate when people clink glasses to get the bride and groom to kiss. At our wedding, people had to sing a song. My cousin Michael has no shame and sang like 10 times. I think people were bribing him with alcohol. I set up a betting pool for kisses, depending on how late my parents were. It cost $10, and if you guessed within 5 minutes, you got a free pass to make my sister and her husband kiss. Almost everyone bet on time because of the extravaganza at my wedding. The correct answer was 25 minutes. Only me, my dick cousin Michael, and his sister Sophia got free passes for the kissing, and I bet $100. I was confident. We raised almost $1,500 for the honeymoon with my stupid idea, and I got to interrupt my sister's eating with my 10 passes. Win-win. Except for my mom, who thinks I did it to embarrass her. She literally helped plan the wedding and was still late by over half an hour. We were literally cleaning up the decorations in my sister's colors while the next wedding was being decorated after us. So that's that. My mom will never change, but I have harnessed her inability to give a damn about punctuality for the good of humanity. See you whenever my little sister gets married. Later. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.